So, imagine watching a market chart where the price is just perfectly flat, right?
Yeah.
But like beneath the surface, there are these massive invisible walls actively trapping millions of dollars of retail money.
It happens every single day.
Right. I mean, if you've ever bought a breakout only to have the market instantly reverse and just absolutely crush your stop loss,
Yep.
you weren't unlucky. You just, well, you couldn't see the trap being set.
Exactly. You were flying blind.
Which brings us to the focus of today's deep dive. Welcome, everyone. We are looking at a really fascinating stack of sources today, detailing a piece of trading technology called 3D NSUS Meta V7.
And this is some seriously high-level stuff.
It really is. We've got the technical specs, the architecture breakdowns, and a step-by-step visual case study of a brutal 20-point market drop on the FDAX. Our mission today is to figure out how modern traders are using predictive AI and extreme 3D visualization to expose the hidden mechanics of global finance.
And, what's fascinating here is the paradigm shift. I mean, for decades, trading analysis was entirely reactive.
Always looking backward.
Right. A candlestick chart basically asks a historical question. What did the price just do? But what we're analyzing today flips that completely. It's microstructural warfare.
Microstructure warfare, I like that.
Yeah, because these tools ask, why is the order book mutating before the price even reacts? It's really the difference between studying the aftermath of a car crash and watching the vehicles accelerate toward each other before the impact even happens.
Okay, to really grasp that shift, though, we have to talk about the sheer blindness of traditional 2D charts. I mean, think about submarine warfare.
Oh, that's a good analogy.
Right. A standard candlestick chart is like just looking at the surface of the ocean. You can see the splashes, you see the waves, but you only see the result of what's happening underneath. You suffer from complete tunnel vision.
Yeah, you're missing the actual movement.
Exactly. The 3D order book we are looking at with this Nexus V7 platform, it's like turning on the sonar. It reveals the submarines moving into position, loading their torpedoes, coordinating attacks, well before anything breaches the surface.
And those submarines in the financial markets are institutional algorithms.
The big guys.
Right. They rely on the fact that you, the retail trader, can only see the surface. And they create these fake walls of liquidity, which is called spoofing, to basically herd you into bad positions.
Or they use iceberg orders.
Right, exactly.
Yes.
Iceberg orders let them quietly accumulate massive positions without leaving even a ripple on the 2D chart. What this software does is it takes all that raw, hidden level 2 and level 3 data and renders it as this living, breathing, three-dimensional topography.
And the technical specs in this visualization are just wild. Like, this isn't delayed data. It's rendering a 3D surface, updating every 10 milliseconds.
Which is incredibly fast.
Right, via a live WebSocket connection.
Mhm.
And it doesn't just give you one view. There's a surface mode, a tunnel, or a wormhole flight mode, a 3D footprint gate.
Don't forget Canyon V1.5.
Oh, yeah, the canyon mode.
Yeah.
And looking at the documentation for the X-ray layers V4 mode, it literally lets you peel back the layers of the order book so you can spot where institutions are hiding their bids deep in the queue.
And the reason it's designed this way is to bypass the analytical bottleneck of the human brain.
How so?
Well, think about it. If I give you a spreadsheet of 100,000 numbers updating every 10 milliseconds, you are paralyzed. You can't process it.
Yeah, my brain would just shut down.
Right. But if I turn those numbers into a topographical map where a massive ask wall looks like a glowing pink cliff face, your brain instantly understands the barrier.
You just see the wall and the feature that really drove that home for me in these specs is the persistent bubble trail.
Oh, that is a crucial feature.
It's so cool. When trades actually execute, like when someone crosses the spread and buys or sells, they appear as these 3D bubbles that ride along the surface. But they don't disappear.
They leave a mark.
Right. They leave a permanent visual trail showing exactly where that execution landed relative to the full history of the order book. So you are seeing the exact 3D coordinates where millions of dollars just slammed into a wall.
And that spatial memory is everything. It shows you the history of absorption. Like if you see a cluster of massive buy bubbles hitting a specific price level, but the price doesn't budge at all.
Something is soaking it up.
Exactly. The visual trail makes it immediately obvious that a hidden iceberg seller was just parked right there, completely absorbing the impact.
Even if you aren't a day trader, just hearing this illustrates the massive information asymmetry out there. This tool visualizes the manipulation that usually remains totally invisible to the public.
It levels the playing field in a way we haven't really seen before.
But okay, this brings us to a massive bottleneck. Because even if you turn the data into a beautiful 3D map, visualizing thousands of price levels updating in 10 milliseconds, I mean, that creates sensory overload.
Oh, absolutely.
A human simply cannot process that geometry fast enough to calculate a complex risk-to-reward ratio. You can't just stare at a pulsing 3D canyon and magically know when to hit the buy button.
You need help. Machine help.
Right. The sheer data velocity demands it.
Yeah.
Which naturally introduces the next leap here, the artificial intelligence layer.
Yeah, human reaction time is roughly, what, 250 milliseconds?
Something like that, yeah.
In the microstructure world, a quarter of a second is an absolute eternity. You're dead in the water.
Okay, let's unpack this AI layer, because the documentation calls their solution the Prediction Oracle V2.
It's quite a name.
It is, and I have to push back a bit here, because that phrase sounds a lot like marketing hype. Is this software actually claiming to predict the future? I mean, if a machine could predict the market with absolute certainty, the developers wouldn't be licensing it out. They'd just sit on a beach and own the global economy.
That's a fair point, and it's absolutely not a crystal ball. The architecture documents are actually very transparent about its limitations.
Okay, so what is it doing then?
It does not predict a guaranteed future. It is a, well, they call it a multi-horizon probabilistic forecast.
Multi-horizon. Okay.
Right. It evaluates the current structural geometry of the order book against 15 years of historical microstructure data, and it calculates probabilities across simultaneous horizons.
6 different time frames at once.
Exactly, ranging from 5 seconds up to 2 minutes out. So it outputs a live forecast saying something like, there's a 72% probability of a downward price movement in the next 5 seconds, evolving to a 65% probability over the next 2 minutes.
Wow. Okay, so it's constantly calculating these overlapping probabilities on the fly. And to do that, the system relies on a swarm of 5 specialist AI agents.
Yes, the agent swarm.
Right. The specsless agents with names like the Iceberg Assassin and the Spoof Warden. And apparently they track order-to-cancel ratios to flag manipulation. But here is what I just don't understand about the architecture.
Right of that.
They are running this on Cerebra's AI infrastructure, right?
Mhm.
Specifically utilizing large language models like Llama 3.370B and Qwen 3235B.
Yeah, huge models.
Right. But I know Llama as a text-based chatbot. How on earth is a language model reading a financial order book?
That is a brilliant question, and it really cuts to the core of why this technology is so disruptive right now. We normally think of language models as understanding English or, Spanish.
Right. Text.
But at their absolute foundation, LLMs are just pattern recognition engines trained on sequential data.
Yeah.
And an order book. It is essentially a language.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. The sequence of bids arriving, asks being canceled, market orders executing. That's a syntax. It has grammar.
So it's reading the market like a sentence.
Exactly. By feeding millions of historical order book sequences into these models, the LLMs learn to read the market's structural intentions the exact same way they learn to predict the next word in a paragraph.
That is fascinating. So the model isn't doing traditional math. It's literally translating the grammar of a spoof wall.
Yes, and speed is everything here.
Right. The computing power required must be insane. The specs note they achieve sub-second inference using Cerebras, which makes sense because Cerebras builds those massive wafer-scale chips just to eliminate latency.
They're built for pure speed.
And they have a Grok fallback built in. So if Cerebras hits a rate limit or has a micro outage, it auto-fails over to Grok with 0 downtime.
Because you can't afford to be blind, even for half a second.
Yeah. So sitting above those 5 specialist LLM agents is what they call the consensus overlord.
It is basically a synthesizer.
Right. It takes the spoof detection, the iceberg tracking, all those probability horizons, and it merges them into a live probability verdict. It even speaks to the trader via a vocal oracle.
And it merges all that with a highly sophisticated quant engine.
Let's break down that quant engine, actually, because the metrics it uses are intense. It's tracking something called VPIN, which stands for Volume Synchronized Probability of Informed Trading.
Right, VPIN.
From what I gather in the sources, this is essentially just a toxicity alarm.
Toxicity is exactly the right word. In market microstructure, toxic flow happens when you are trading against someone who knows something you don't.
Like informed institutional flow.
Exactly. VPIN measures the imbalance in volume over specific buckets of time. So if VPIN spikes, it means highly informed traders are just aggressively sweeping the book. The system uses this to automatically dampen your trading signals, basically warning you not to step in front of a freight train.
Wow. And the engine is also constantly calculating Kyle's lambda. I had to read up on this one. It measures the price impact of trades.
Yes?
So basically, if I drop a 100-lot market order, how many picks does the price actually move?
Yeah.
It's measuring the true cost of liquidity, right?
Precisely. If Kyle's lambda is high, it means the market is thin and fragile. Even small orders are going to violently whip the price around. If it's low, the market is deep and can absorb heavy volume.
Makes sense. But the metric that really caught my attention was the Hawkes branching ratio.
Oh, that one is critical.
Yeah, the documentation says it identifies trade cascade risk. Think of Hawkes like the R0 of a viral outbreak.
That's a great way to put it.
It doesn't just count the number of trades happening, it measures causality. Like, did trade A trigger a panic that caused trades B and C, and did those cause D, E, and F?
Exactly. It measures the infection rate.
Right. If that branching ratio spikes above a certain threshold, you are in a cascade.
And the software acts on that mathematically defined regime. If the Hawkes ratio confirms a cascade, the system automatically shortens your trading cooldowns.
Because things are moving too fast.
Right. It knows the market is in a momentum frenzy, and it adjusts your execution logic to ride that wave rather than fighting it.
Okay, but probability scores and Hawkes ratios don't mean much if you don't know what a trap looks like as it's actually forming.
It's all just theory until you see it.
Exactly. Let's move from the theory to the battlefield. We have a visual case study in our sources tracking a specific brutal sequence on the FDAX, that's the Eurex futures contract for the DAX index.
And this case study perfectly illustrates the massive gap between the 2D surface and the 3D reality.
It really does. So let me set the scene here based on the images provided. It's a morning session. The price is hovering in a really tight range, right around 25,282.
Very narrow.
Yeah. And on the 3D Nexus visualizer, we see the cyan bid side, the buyers on the left, and the pink ask side, the sellers on the right.
Standard setup.
Right. Then suddenly a barrage of massive green bubbles appears. These are large, aggressive market buy orders. Retail traders or maybe smaller algos are just slamming into that pink ask wall, trying to force a breakout. But the price doesn't go up.
No, it doesn't.
In fact, some of these massive buys print with a negative price impact, and here's where it gets really interesting.
Stop right there, because that is the critical anomaly. In a normal, healthy market, if you have overwhelming aggressive buying consuming liquidity, the price simply must rise.
Right, supply and demand.
Exactly. The fact that buyers are throwing millions of dollars at the wall and the price is ticking down is a massive red flag.
Because it means
It tells the microstructure analyst that the pink ask wall isn't just sitting there passively. The sellers are actively, aggressively absorbing every single buy order. It is an immovable object.
wow, and this is exactly where the trap is set. Because in step 2 of the case study, the aggressive buyers are still trying to lift the market. But the pink ask wall doesn't just absorb the hits anymore.
They go on the offensive.
Yes. The institutional sellers actually reload their liquidity and they step down. They physically move their massive offers from 25,282 lower down to 25,279.
They're compressing the price from above.
Yes, on the 3D map, you literally see the ceiling lowering.
That step down is predatory. It is a textbook bearish liquidity trap. The sellers aren't just defending a level, they are launching a full-on liquidity campaign.
Forcing everyone underwater.
Exactly. By pushing their massive offer walls lower, they force the price down and instantly trap all those aggressive buyers who just went long at 25,282. I mean, think about the psychology of those buyers.
Oh, they thought they were buying a breakout.
Right. And now this heavy ceiling is lowering on top of them, and their positions are immediately underwater.
You can almost feel the panic building. Which takes us to step 3. The price finally buckles under the weight of that descending wall. It breaks lower, sliding toward 25,271. And right at 25,274, the Nexus platform's AI consensus overlord triggers an HFT sell signal.
High-frequency confirmation.
Yeah. The trap snaps completely shut.
Because up until that HFT signal, what we saw was just structural preparation, the absorption and the compression. The HFT signal is the mathematical confirmation that the microstructure has entirely collapsed.
It's the spark hitting the powder keg.
Exactly. Because what happens next? All those trapped buyers from step 1 realize they are wrong. Their stop losses are triggered. And, as you know, a triggered buy stop loss becomes an automated market sell order.
Which just adds rocket fuel to the downward momentum.
Total cascade.
The price just plummets. It drops 20 points 40 ticks on the FDX all the way down to 25,261. It is a total washout. And that brings us to the final step in the visual sequence.
Right down in the basement.
Yep, down in the absolute basement at 25,261, an HFT buy signal finally flashes on the screen.
But we really need to clarify what that buy signal actually means in this specific context.
It's not a go long signal, is it?
No, it does not mean the macro trend has reversed, and it's time to go long for the rest of the day. In microstructure warfare, that buy signal is an exhaustion warning.
Like the fuel has run out.
Exactly. It means the stop-loss cascade has run out of momentum. The Hawk's branching ratio has cooled down. For the trader who rode the trap down, it's the mathematical cue to take your profits, exit the battlefield, and wait for the next setup.
And the crazy part is, if you look at this entirely through a normal candlestick chart, you would have just seen a flat, boring line that suddenly and inexplicably dropped 20 points.
You'd think it was random noise.
Or a sudden news headline. But the 3D nexus showed the explicit intention of the market, the absorption, the reload, the psychological trapping of the buyers, minutes before the actual drop occurred.
You're seeing true causality instead of just correlation.
But, as illuminating as that is, recognizing a bearish liquidity trap in real time is only half the equation.
Spotting a 20-point window is entirely useless if you can't act on it.
Right. If you can't execute the trade across fragmented markets before the window slams shut, it doesn't matter what you see. Which leads us to how the platform actually executes. The developers built execution directly into the visualization. It's like a full cockpit.
It has to be. You need it all in one place.
And to solve the fragmentation problem, they use a feature called the aggregate multi-exchange V2. Because let's face it, global liquidity is totally fractured right now.
Oh, yeah.
You might be looking at a trap forming on Binance, but the whale who is actually driving the move is hiding their orders over on OKX or Bybit. It's like having eyes in 5 different casinos at once.
That's a perfect analogy. If you are only looking at one exchange, you have a massive blind spot. The multi-exchange V2 merges Binance Perps, Bybit Linear, OKX Swap, Binance Spot, and Hyperliquid into a single unified 3D order book.
That's a lot of data.
It pulls from over 18 data sources simultaneously. And it runs deduplication algorithms to ensure you are seeing the true global floor of liquidity.
Then once you have that God's eye view, the auto trading engine V7 handles the execution. It hooks directly into the platform's alerts.
Like the tape bomb alert?
Exactly, the tape bomb. The documentation explains this fires when the execution rate exceeds a dynamic maximum, like a sudden burst of, say, 8 trades per second. It indicates an institutional sweep.
And when that alert fires in alignment with the AI probabilities, the engine executes.
Right, but the mechanics of that execution are designed strictly around risk management. It uses a 2-step TPSL take profit and stop loss.
To prevent slippage.
Exactly. Instead of sending a bundled order that can get rejected or suffer massive slippage during high volatility, it sends the raw market order first to guarantee the fill.
And then immediately attaches the stops.
The millisecond it is filled, it applies the take profit and stop loss based on the actual executed price. It also has a smart martingale feature that sizes up after losses, and a reverse mode for trading contrary to retail flow.
But the best feature might be the simplest one.
The daily limits.
Yes, strict daily profit and loss limits. Once you hit your target or max drawdown, the engine auto-flats your positions and just locks you out to prevent burnout.
It forces discipline. And for traditional finance traders, they even bridge this crypto and futures tech using a local Python WebSocket, a dual MT5 bridge, allowing you to route data through one broker while executing on another just to get the best pricing.
The architecture is incredibly robust, yet the accessibility is perhaps the most shocking element of all the source material.
It really is. I mean, we are talking about a 5-agent LLM swarm running on Cerebras, rendering 10-millisecond 3D graphics, and aggregating global exchanges.
And you'd think you need a server farm in your basement to run it.
Exactly. But you don't. It operates entirely as a single HTML file natively in a web browser.
It's crazy.
You just open the file, plug in your Exchange API keys, and the cockpit is live. The documentation says it's like 69 euros a month or a 599 euro lifetime access fee. It's a massive democratization of institutional-grade weaponry.
But you know, that democratization forces us to ask a pretty difficult question.
What's that?
Well, the trading industry has always romanticized the human element. That gut feeling a seasoned trader gets, the intuition developed over decades of watching the tape.
Wait, let me push back on that idea of democratization for a second, though. If this is just a browser file and suddenly thousands of retail traders have access to these 5-agent swarms and 3D maps, doesn't the edge completely disappear?
You mean if everyone has it?
Yeah. If my AI is fighting your AI, aren't we just back to square one, just executing faster?
That is the ultimate microstructure paradox. The edge doesn't disappear, it evolves.
Oh, sorry.
When everyone has speed, speed is no longer the edge. Structural positioning becomes the edge. But to your point, it fundamentally changes the nature of the
Yeah, it
game.
really does.
If you are sitting at your desk trying to feel the market rhythm, while the trader next to you is armed with predictive level 2 oracles, Hawks branching metrics, and an AI consensus overlord that literally speaks the market's hidden intentions out loud, what happens to human intuition?
It's a huge question.
Are we reaching a threshold where human gut feeling in financial markets is not just a disadvantage but entirely obsolete? Are we transitioning into a ruthless, silent battlefield governed entirely by competing sub-second AI consensus models?
It's a chilling thought, honestly. But when you look at how clearly a machine can visualize that FDAX trap, it's pretty hard to argue for the human gut. Well, that is all we have time for on this deep dive into microstructure warfare. Keep questioning the surface, and we'll see you next time.